we specialise in handcrafting and making bath and body products. So aromatherapy, natural products, soy melts. We used to do candles. We don't do candles anymore. And, you know, as everyone starts off in our industry, you make products and you go and do little small markets and you spend all your weekends doing markets and you get to meet some lovely locals and lovely people around and get to get your branding and your reputation out there on the quality of your products. My passion was always bath and body and home fragrance and stuff. And, you know, I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars prior to having the business in the industry in buying candles and bath and body products. And, you know, we all need soaps, we all need sanitizers, we all need, you know, everyday essentials. And, you know, that kind of goes in with the branding of our business. So scent actually being fragrance, and essentials being essential goods and services that everyone loves. So previously completed various TAFE and uni qualifications. My background's actually within law. So I spent 10 years doing law. And then I just eventuated. So I think it's important that we never stop learning and we always stay up to date and constantly learn in whatever industry that we're in to make our businesses better, and at the forefront and staying efficient. My hobby and passion then 3 to 4 years ago became the business. So being a full-time mum, my business allowed me the work-life balance that I needed, and that I always wanted and cherish. Because, you know, being you miss those pivotal years until they go to school and they're gone and you never get them back. So it's important for me to have the family at my forefront as well. And we moved to Geelong only 18 months ago. So, you know, when we moved, it allowed my business to grow and, you know, operate not only retail, wholesale, online, and now we run our own co-op group, which we've been running for about 9 months, importing fragrances from overseas. So next slide. So when we were challenged by COVID, I continued to pursue the business. I wasn't going to bear down. Sales were still going pretty good. We just obviously had to introduce legal precautions and safety measures that we put in place. We stopped local pickups and things like that. But, you know, we managed to get through and we just modified and redesigned some of the things that we did. We took the time, you know, the first point of COVID to really redesign our website and also go live online with our wholesale for our wholesale customers. I think that that was a big step that we'd been trying to work towards the last 6 months and never got around to doing it. So we utilised that time to do that. And the biggest thing that I was noticing amongst other small business owners within my industry is that there was no supplies. Things like fragrance oil were out of stock from every single supplier. Things like isopropyl alcohol was nowhere to be seen. And when you could see it, it was astronomical prices that your average small business will either go, you know what, it's not worth it. I just stop making the product, or I'm going to make the product, but I'm cutting out my profits. So they had to weigh up those options. And we were quite lucky that we had stock in at the time, and one of our suppliers was able to have some stock of the isopropyl alcohol that we needed to keep us in stock and able to make products. So we didn't really feel that kind of push that everyone else did to kind of either stop business or work and not make a profit, essentially. I know other small businesses that actually continued to make it and cut at a loss. And, you know, they were just, you couldn't up your prices in a current pandemic, and they were just stuck. They wanted to continue to provide and not lose customers, but they were actually making losses. Subsequently, over the second kind of wave of COVID, that most people, we were forced to put up our prices. We had no choice. However, you know, it's about, for me, it always has been, it's about establishing a good rapport with your customers, understand their wants and needs, for what they really need is important, but obviously what they want as well, because at the end of the day, no matter what, if they need something and they want something, they're going to go out and get it. It just means that they might go out and get something cheaper from somewhere else, but they're still going to need that product. Like a soap, you still need to wash your body, you still need to wash your face. They might just go at the, you know, current pandemic. A lot of people have tightened up their budgets. They've lost jobs. They've, you know, lost work. So for me, the shortages throughout Australia and being able to stock products was really crucial. This enabled the business to gain advantage over other suppliers. So we then use the transition to become a supplier and really broaden our wholesale, not just wholesale products, but actually supplying products as well. And as I said, we were extremely fortunate enough not to feel the budge. So although the business was profoundly product-based before, our number one priority, and it still always is, and it always has been from day one, is excellent customer one-on-one service and satisfaction. Because at the end of the day, you can provide a really good product with really good quality. If your customer service sucks and the way in which you deal with people sucks, people aren't going to come and buy from you. And that's the bottom line, whether you're at a market, you're in a prime precinct with a shopping centre, a small store, you're working from home. At the end of the day, doesn't matter what industry you're in, if you don't have good customer service skills and you can work with customers and even customer feedback, just because a customer provides feedback that maybe the product doesn't work to how it's expected, or, you know, or that a product is that amazing that they want you to replicate it, but it was a, you know, a custom made once-off product. Products like mine, especially the soaps, and, you know, they're all different designs from one batch to another. The colors always vary because I do hand make every single thing. I don't have, you know, machinery making and measuring all my stuff. Obviously you stick to recipes, but from batch to batch, it is going to be different. So we really pride ourselves, and our focus has always been from day one that we pride ourselves on the quality of our products and our excellent customer service. So if we can achieve those, that's our main goal. The most important thing about being in the bath and body industry, especially when there's so many people, especially now more than ever, there's lots of people making candles and things like that from home, is that our business wants to create a point of difference from the other businesses in the industry. Different designs, different colors, fragrances that we use in our products that no one else has, or that they don't obtain because they're not Australian fragrances. So it's always about being somewhat different. And I think that, as I said before, obtaining reviews and customer feedback is really essential to find out what the customers like, what they don't like, and what they want and what they need. And I think that's been very pivotal to our business, by working with and getting reviews and feedback on products, on customer service, on the whole shopping experience online, or whether they've come into our little shop front, which is based next to our house here in St Albans Park. So I think that if we do that, and we can start to make more conscious decisions about the products, you know, if products aren't selling because people don't like it or it's not performing, then that's something that you kind of will start to discontinue. Or the same as a specific fragrance line. If, you know, floral smells aren't selling because it doesn't meet your clientele, well, you scale back on those and you bring in more products or more fragrances that scale and meet the customer needs and wants, likes and dislikes. Next slide. So what's changed? So it's allowed my business to grow and redesign the website, as I explained before. Our online shopping customers, now we've found more so than ever, the COVID is everyone's shopping online. And because people are paying for shipping, you know, we're a tiny little small business. It's literally just my business. I've got my husband who helps me when he's around with his other job, and a 3-year-old, now 4-year-old daughter. I keep calling her 3. She's just turned 4. So I think that, you know, having that, the customers being able to have a one shop stop, or, you know, somewhere where they can get all their essential needs and supplies without going to 3 or 4 different places to get it, and pay 3 or 4 sets of shipping. We found that that's been a massive boost for us, for our online business, especially during the pandemic. And also with customer services, by us doing our wholesale side of things, by meeting the demand and supplying other industry or other businesses within our industry with the products and materials they need to keep their businesses going, they've now come back to us and going, well, during the hard times when we couldn't find stuff, you still had fragrances and you still had materials that we could buy to keep our businesses alive. So now they've actually become really good, valuable customers for our wholesale. And, you know, some of them have worked out, oh, I've got a homeschool now, so I don't have the time to make my own soaps. and they wholesale their soaps or their products from us, as well as buying materials as well. So it's actually grown the wholesale side of the business. This aids our business to be the point of difference, because we started a co-op with a bunch of, there's probably about 50 to 80 active small businesses throughout Australia within the industry who are part of my co-op, and we import premium concentrated fragrances to make our bath and body or candle and melts and home fragrance products. So by going on and starting that, it made the importing, basically the co-op runs where we put in an order with specific suppliers who don't normally ship to Australia, and we've got processes in place to be able to import these goods and go through customs and do everything that we need to do to get these fragrances here. We basically all put orders in together and combine one big order with each of the different suppliers that we buy from, and we were able to split the customs fees, split the taxes, split the shipping, and it becomes affordable for us small businesses. So essentially, you know, we do that with some of the suppliers. I'm in other co-ops for other small businesses where, you know, we buy, instead of buying 100 kilos for one person who may not be able to afford it because they're a small business, if there's 10 of us buying 10 kilos each, then it becomes affordable and we're all getting it at that bulk price. And I think that that's one biggest thing that I think will help a lot of small businesses get back, or try and, whether it's get back in business or stop from the being able to go bust, essentially, is if you can start small and walk before you run and work with other businesses in your industry. I can't stress that. I know that a lot of people are competitors, but you've got to look, there's room, and I still believe it, there's room for all of us. There's enough people in the whole of Australia to be shopping at different places, and there's enough room for all of us if we're not greedy and we all work together. So next slide, bouncing back. So as I said before, my focus for the business is that we have a point of difference with our products and the product ranges. So, you know, we go from soaps and hand wash and sanitizers to soy melts, room sprays, to washing powders and aromatherapy products. We supply a local day spa in Port Arlington and a wellness centre in Geelong and Oceans Grove with our pure range of essential oils and essential oil blends that are made by me direct as an aromatherapist to help with the benefits. So, you know, we've got a broad range of customers and a broad range of products, and that was part of creating the point of difference, as well as creating the one-stop shop. Because, as I said, you don't want to be paying 4 or 5 different shipping fees to get products from 4 or 5 different companies. So we do buy in some diffusers and melt warmers that other local Australian businesses sell to us to on-sell, because obviously we haven't got the time. And I think that that's another thing going forward. You can't try and absolutely do everything. I think that this is a good time to, you know, kind of focus on your niche, but also there is other small businesses who make products like myself who can make the products at wholesale and provide them. So you still have a broad product range, but you don't have to worry about the stress of, you know, making the product and labeling it and all that kind of stuff. And that's, you know, part of the collaboration process. I think that that's really important, because at the end of the day, you know, days, weeks, months, even a couple of years have gone into creating our product ranges and providing that vast variety for our customers. And, you know, if we can help other small businesses stay on track and not go bust and, you know, put food on their table at the end of the day, we're all here to feed our families, and we've all got young families, and, you know, pay the bills. And that, you know, my empire is having a roof over my head and being around and here for my family and being able to provide for my family. I think that that's the utmost for most of us small businesses. So my focus was that my business is not always the cheapest in the industry, and we don't aim to be the cheapest in the industry. We want to be known to have premium products. We want to be known for our quality and the vast range of designs, colours and fragrances that we have across our product range compared to our competitors. So that's our point of difference. And in terms of wholesale. It's about helping others and one another within the industry. We are all here trying to put food on the table. So that's probably the key message I've got there. You know, we can't just fight with one another and argue because we're competitors. At the end of the day, you know, we've got to work together. As small as we all are, we need to work together if we want to go forward and get through the other side of this pandemic. So next slide. So during the last 6 months of COVID, obviously during the pandemic, we've tripled in size. So I think, as I said before, the supply chain basically is that the wrong slide. I think, hang on. Yeah, that's okay. I'm on the wrong slide. Sorry, my glitch. So at the end of the day, there's a supply and a need. If there's a need for products or for materials and there's no supply, it means that a lot of businesses will go without, or you end up paying astronomical amounts. So with the industry, I find that COVID has actually boomed our industry because more and more people are at home. They want their houses smelling nice with nice products. With the pandemic, obviously things like sanitizers and soaps and things are being used a hell of a lot more. So people are buying up in bulk and things like that. We do have limits on some of our products just to stop the bulk buying, but I think a lot of us have been doing that just so people aren't being greedy. But it boils down to, and I think the growth that we've seen is because of the fragrances and the co-op that we created. And I think that going forward, our point of difference was that we wanted to get quality products that couldn't be met here in Australia at the time because there were shortages, but also a concentrated product that we could get in a lesser volume but had a higher concentrate. So for example, all our suppliers, you know, there's regulations and things like that about material safety data sheets, allergen certificates and IFRA certificates that are available internationally, and they have to be available for each and every fragrance in order for us to use it, because it tells us what's going to discolor, what's our maximum usage rates for the different products, as you can see on the slide. Allergen certificates. Fragrances, at the end of the day, fragrances are watered down, or there's a carrier oil.
There you go. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, there's a carrier oil for fragrances, whether it's alcohol, jojoba oil, sweet almond oil, fractionated coconut oil. Basically, all fragrances do, or they are watered down, or there is a base for it. It's not pure. It's not a pure fragrance because obviously it would be way too strong and burn your skin in skin products. So finding out and getting the allergen certificates, me with allergies, my daughter with severe allergies, it's important that I'm using products that I'm not going to end up being in hospital with an anaphylactic shock with. And I think that that's important and at the forefront for customers as well, because if there is, for example, sweet almond oil, people with nut allergies could have serious reactions to a sweet almond, anything that's got a sweet almond oil in it. So for me, that was another step in the right direction about, hey, I'm dealing with suppliers here that even have allergen certificates. I don't know any of the Australian suppliers who provide that here. So having that makes me different, and it also gives the other businesses in the co-op the advantage of having that and being able to promote that. Yes, we've got allergen certificates for the oils that we use in our products. As I said, it's a good marketing tool, and it, you know, in this day and age where there's so many allergies and the kids of today have so much more allergies than what we did back 30, 40 years ago. So I think that that's important. And I think that, you know, I'm not saying that they're of lesser value, but personally using a product, if I'm using an Australian product and the skin safe usage rate is 10 or 15%, I can kind of tell the purity of the product and how much it's watered down with a carrier oil or a base oil, compared to, we've got one on screen here where if you have a look at the bath oil soaps and shower gels, that's just one of the fragrances that I use. And the maximum usage rate is 5%. The same fragrance here in Australia is actually 15%. So if you have a look, the usage rate being 5% compared to 15%. It's a third of the rate, and therefore using it in the product, because it is concentrated, I only need to use a third. So when you go through, next slide, the cost of importing the fragrance oils from America, yes, they are more expensive. I won't lie about that. But you're buying a concentrated product, which essentially will give you 3, maybe 4 times, depending on your usage rate, in terms of value. So to me, do you prefer to pay a little bit more and receive a quality product with a longer lasting fragrance? Or do you want to buy a cheap product made from chemicals, paraffins, additives that only last, 25 to 30% and will perform average or lower than expectations? So as a business, we had to make this decision. The co-op was just something on the side, but as a wholesale business, we had to make the decision to, we had to make the decision about whether it's money, is it price versus quality, or is the price and value. So essentially the quality of the product through the testing was more important to us. So it was a no-brainer that switching over and importing and using the concentrated fragrance oils for our business was the way that we were going to strive and succeed within our co-op and the other small businesses we work with, but also within our business, because we're providing fragrances that aren't normally here, so most people won't have them in the product ranges that they've got. B, I'm using essentially a third to make a soap. So instead of using 15%, I'm only using 5% in that batch. So essentially I'm actually getting 3 times the value of that. If the price is double, I'm still 1/3, or I'm still 33% in front in terms of cost because of the usage rate. So actually long term, the co-op and buying a more expensive product that is a concentrate means that you can actually save money in the long run. And I think that people go, oh wow, it's so much more expensive than what we've got here in Australia, but then they go and use it and they go, now I understand, I'm actually saving money. And we've spent months and months testing. We've got other small business owners who do the exact same thing, and they've seen the value in buying the products. Now obviously our business motto is, buy local, buy Australian made. Next slide, John. Buy Australian made, and this is just a little bit of the collection of our products. Just one before. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So just a small collection of some of the things that we sell and hand make here, and we try to have a little bit of a variety, from colours to fragrances to designs to the type of product we have. We have various different clienteles. We go to one area and do, different areas and dynamics, different states. I've got customers who are in Perth and work at the mines and stuff, and they like those really heavy, musky type fragrances. And then I've got, kind of that teenage through to that late 20s, love your foodie and your fruity, super sweet fragrances. So it's about also establishing and knowing your customer base to what you can provide them. So next slide, how can we get through this in your small business? So as we've touched on, it's about broadening your horizons. So you've got to think of outside the square. And if you do want to get through this, it's about, is your plan to just get through this and get you through, and hopefully you're still putting food on the table and able to, pay your bills and things like that. There's no right or wrong here, but, for us, broadening the horizons for me was to go from hobby to then business to create my empire. And as I said, my empire is having the roof and the family around me and, the house over my head, that I can say that it's my house. And for me, that's an empire. I'm not claiming to make millions overnight. And that's never been my intention, nor kind of where I want to head with this business. It's about broadening your horizons about what you want to know, but also have a focus on what you do. It's crucial. And I can't reiterate this. Doesn't matter what industry, product or service industry, obtain feedback from customers. Positive feedback not only reinforces your products or your product lines or your actual service or what you're providing, but it kind of just gives that. People look at reviews, people look at feedback from other customers about their experiences with you. I know that I do when I'm shopping with a new customer. with a new business, I know I tend to have a look at reviews and see what people's dealings were. The other thing is research. You've got to spend the time to research new suppliers. You know, obviously it's taken us 9 or 10 years to get where we are, to be able to grow and have good, valuable suppliers. Support local and Australian businesses where possible. So, you know, buying from a small business, instead of, you know, save that extra little bit, and, you know, instead of spending $2 on a soap from the supermarket, support, you know, the small businesses who, you know, we're paying for our kids to go and play sport, or to learn swimming lessons so they don't drown, or, you know, to put food on our table. You know, spend that extra couple of dollars with a soap bar that's made with quality products, quality ingredients. And, you know, that, I think that that's the core. And as I said, I know that we import from America, but it's importing an ingredient which we don't have here, or we haven't had readily available for over 6 months. So we were forced to either go out of business or find the best. And now it's actually suited the industry, and it's helping the industry grow and have better quality control. Also, within your own businesses, test your products. Don't just go and start making products and get into a business. Give out samples to family and friends. Get some valuable customers to test the new product range that you want to release. Get some feedback. You know, and it goes through a process. I can't reiterate how much it's important to go through that process of making a new product, getting people to test it, you know, tweaking the recipe or changing it up a little bit to make it even better. Even if you get good results, you want to be excellent, and then you actually launch the product. Networking and social media. Since moving to Geelong, I joined the Geelong Small Business Network. I network with heaps, obviously, of businesses. There's actually 500 members in my co-op now in probably, 7-8 months. We've grown to 500 members, as much as there's only 50, 60, maybe 70 that order. But the group, it's good networking, and we can bounce ideas off one another. And I think that that's important. Social media, you know, most people are all on social media. I'm not too IT savvy, but, you know, I still use social media. It's a great point to deal with customers. I know I'm a little bit old fashioned, and I prefer to pick up the phone and kind of talk to a customer or discuss something if I need to have a lengthy conversation or explain something, or they need answers to something. But, you know, the trend tends to be text messages and social media as a way of communicating. So, you know, we've made sure that our business has the social media front, you know, and we've got numerous ways to contact us: phone, website, email address, Facebook, Instagram. And so people know who it is and who we are, and, you know, creating that point of difference where, you know, a lot of online businesses don't even have a contact number for people. It's just purely online. Like, I know the career companies and stuff, that some of the career companies we deal with, you can't even ring them. There's no number to ring them. You can only send them an email. And sometimes at that point, if you're trying to deal with something, it becomes really hard. So to actually deal with the issue when it needs to be dealt with in a timely manner. So I think that having different forms of contact, obviously, you know, you bear in mind, if you're copping calls at 10:30, 11, you just don't answer them, you let it go to voicemail. Like, you do this, the common sense thing that prevails here. And I suppose that having different points of contact is part of creating a point of difference compared to a lot of just online businesses who don't have that. And it's part of your customer service and building that rapport with your clients and your customers. For us, as I said, if you've got a point to create a range of products within your business, and, you know, help your shop become the one-stop shop that people are after right now, and that's only ever going to grow. I honestly believe that will continue to grow, where, especially, you know, as more and more people get laid off work, and the pandemic after effects of the economic system will prevail. I think that's going to grow and grow. Work with other small businesses in your industry. I know we saw in some of the previous talks that some people are reluctant to work with competitors. At the end of the day, we've got to work together to source materials, to buy together in bulk. And, you know, you create a set of rules. You know, if you're working with a group of people, whether, you know, in your industry or competitors, if that's what you want to call them, I don't look at them as competitors for me. I just look at them as other people that are making products within the same industry, you know. Yes, they are competitors, but I don't look at them, I don't put that vibe out there. For me, I don't feel a threat by them. As I said, there's plenty of customers in Australia. We've got, you know, millions of people here to buy from, and there's enough room for all of us. The last thing I want to touch on was to treat your business as a brand and establish your brand within your community and also within your industry. And I think that your branding and, you know, things like your logo design, your business name, things that go behind that, it's crucial for your branding and for your reputation, and, you know, quality products, quality customer service or excellent customer service, getting out there in the community, getting known, you know, go and do, like for me, my biggest thing that I do, and this is the 3rd year now we're doing it, we do specific charity products for the National Breast Cancer Foundation and PCOS Association. We've got a specific product line and that money goes towards, you know, a portion of the sales. Essentially, we don't make any profit from those products. We just cover our costs, but the profits go directly to the charity. And, you know, we've signed agreements and contracts, and Breast Cancer Foundation have just signed us up for another 12 months to release, and we're releasing 3 brand new products in the next 2 weeks. And I think to get out there in the community, give back to the community. You know, everyone's suffering. Everyone's struggling in one way or another, whether it's mentally, physically, or, you know, and small things like this can help us get by. You know, I do some small charity stuff, and, you know, with a background of sport and, you know, doing lots of volunteer work within coaching and stuff like that within the football industry, but also I go down to my daughter's 3-year-old kinder and I take in a bunch of bath salts and I sit there for an hour with the, you know, the kinder's permission, and we run bath salt making classes, and the kids just love it. Like, and that, you know, for me, that brings the biggest smile to my face, and like that moment there that the kids are just having a ball and that nothing else matters. That's what makes it so worth it to me. It's not about the money. It's not about anyone else or the competitors. It's about bringing that smile, especially, you know, my daughter's so proud to have mum there, you know, and everyone's so happy that they're making something that they would never have made at home. So that was just, yeah, I can't explain that feeling, and I'm going back to do some more at the kinder. The kinder loves it. So what I'll leave you with, and, you know, the main point is, you know, yesterday's hobby, which for me 9 years ago, this was just you know, essentially a hobby and a passion. It's still a passion, don't get me wrong, and I'm sure you can see that. But yesterday's hobby can become today's business, and tomorrow that could be your empire. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bianca. You packed an awful lot in there.
Yeah, I know. I tried to go a little bit fast. How am I going with time? I have
No, you're fine. You're spot on. It's good.
Okay, there we go. Perfect.
I've been unfortunate, but while I was presenting, I couldn't see anything going on in the chat, and I didn't want to risk, you know, sort of disrupting your presentation.
That's okay. I haven't seen the chat either.
I was notified of a few things coming in. I'm going to ask Andrew if you've monitored anything, and is there are there anything in the chat at all where that hasn't been covered, because I can't speed read that fast.
I mean, just super complimentary, Bianca. Really well presented, and
thank you.
Inspirational. The energy you've got, the passion you got. It's really come across to everybody who's commented on that. Bree was really impressed with the co-op idea. I don't know whether you want to expand on that.
Okay. So basically, what happened a few months ago, or sorry, it was probably late last year. We're looking at around that October, November. I was already buying from a co-op, just in small amounts, because I wanted to test out the American fragrance oils. I've lived in America and I've traveled to America quite often in the past. So I was very mindful that some of these brands were just the best in the world. They're renowned for the best, you know. There's always an industry leader in every industry, and, you know, some of the brands that we buy from are just literally up there, and they're known as the gold in our industry. So I wanted to test them out and do my own actual trials and tribulations, test them in my products with my recipes and see how they went. You know, there's a couple of fragrances, yeah, that doesn't work for me. It doesn't give me the output, but in terms of the concentrate and how I only need a very little to make a really quality, good smelling product, just astounded me, like, you know, through my own product making it was, and that, you know, was the general consensus. And then the person who was kind of doing these small, it was only, there's probably about 15 or 20 in the co-op at the time. She's like, I've got 6 kids, I just can't do it anymore, it's costing me too much money. And, you know, she was just doing it just to help out one another. And she, you know, she never allowed enough money for customs, and she was always paying out of her own pocket. And, you know, that's not kind of what we want. You know, we didn't want her to bear those costs, and we started buying bigger and bigger and bigger quantities for ourselves because I was making more and more products, and some of the orders that people were making were massive. So she couldn't cope with that. And I said, look, hey, I've got some links established, I'm already buying, you know, why don't I? And then she invited the customers. She said, I'm closing my co-op, but Bianca's running a co-op if you want to join hers, you know. And it's about establishing the rules from day one. You know, if you advise the customers, these are the costs, these are what customs fees would be, this is roughly what you're up for, this is roughly the conversion rate. If you go into Google, you can roughly say, okay, for example, $100 might be 125 or 130 Australian dollars. You know, being upfront with everyone, we've all got budgets that we've got to stick with, because, you know, you don't want to kind of go out of the budget or not have the money or default or anything like that. So I'm mindful of that. But I think honesty in the co-op, and especially because we're all within the industry. So, you know, you're going to bullshit and you're going to kind of lie, essentially. You'll get caught out, and that's not what I'm on about. Honesty's the main key, and it was working together. And that, as I said, from, you know, 20 to 30 to 50 to now 500 since October to, what are we, September? So essentially in 11 months, we've gone from 20 to 500 members.
Wow. Oh, excellent. Last question, because we're hitting up against time, but
Sure.
a couple of comments regarding your approach to customer feedback and being able to, you know, utilize that and some of the research you're doing. What's one big tip you might give smaller businesses who are looking to really get good at utilizing customer feedback? Okay.
I think that the number one tool is, whether it's positive or negative, you always reply. You've got to reply to, you know, whether it's, if it's positive, thank them for providing that feedback or that review. Or what we tend to do is, when people order and, you know, they do a review, we'll slip them a little sample size product or a little thank you notice, a bookmark, or something that I make that's, you know, a thank you type gift for those reviews or for taking the time to do that. But I think utilizing the information allowed us to expand our product range, but also find out what's moving and what's not, so I know what I'm making in bigger volumes and what I need to import. Because obviously from the point of ordering to when I get the products at the moment, we're looking at a 8 to 10 week turnaround before I can receive my goods, or the fragrances, which is one ingredient in my products. I think, so I've got to kind of be mindful of that. So what's selling and what people like and what people don't like also affects my buying as a business and my kind of sourcing and material control for the business. And I think that if you can use that kind of method and use the negative feedback in a way, don't look at it as negative feedback. You've got to look at it as constructive feedback. And okay, yep, that person was not satisfied. Why weren't they satisfied? Was there something going on at the time with that product? Was it a bad batch? Or, you know, with the customer service, why did they think that I was rude? Was I having a bad day? And is that why it may have come across that I may have been a bit rude or abrupt? So there's the bigger picture, but at least that starts to kind of get the mind thinking, and you kind of document it. I am going to work with Rob shortly, hopefully, in his innovative kind of process to kind of really define in on that myself. And that's an area that I want to work on even more, because I think that that's crucial for our business.
Oh, thanks so much, Bianca.
Thank you.
Fantastic story. Thanks for all the hints and tips you've given people here. Very inspiring story.
Thank you.
We'll take a break now. You're welcome to stay on, of course, for our final presentation, James, starting at 3:15. Okay, we'll go on mute and come back again then.